Hi guys, so today I'm doing a sit down chatty video. I've been getting a lot of requests to talk about my job. So YouTube and ASMR has become my job, but before that I was a full-time collage artist, designer, album cover designer, human being. So I thought I would talk through everything, like start to finish, like how much to charge, portfolios, how to get your work out there, how to get clients. I was freelance. I went to uni. I studied design for publishing at university, got a degree in that, and then straight from uni I just wanted to be freelance and applied and sent off all my work. So I'm gonna literally go start to finish. Let's get into it. One of the biggest tips that I have is to make a social media presence for your artwork. So I did collage art. I'll show you some examples of the kind of work that I did and still do, just so that you know the kind of style I'm talking about. Yeah, I basically posted very regularly, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 a week of my different artwork onto my Instagram, and I built a following there. That initially is what got me a load of jobs, and it still does. Like, to be honest, like a lot of big clients, you wouldn't think that they'd use social media like that. Using the right hashtags, I know hashtags, but using the right terminology, hashtags, things like that, making sure that when someone searches for something, like if a client, like if a agency is looking for something and they search the hashtag, that you come up near the top, and if they like your work, then and make sure you have your email address in your bio so that they can contact you. So Instagram specifically was a big one for me. Also make a LinkedIn, if you know about LinkedIn. It's basically business Facebook, but a lot of people connect with you through that if they're interested in your work or want to see what you've done. So it tells them, it's like a CV, a social media CV. It tells them your like degree or what you've studied and where and stuff like that. At uni I studied graphic design, and you could then go into like a specific genre within graphic design, which I did design for publishing. As originally I wanted to do book cover design, but I ended up wanting to do album cover design because I'm not a reader. So I thought, oh, do you know what I'm going to do for music, because I do listen to music. So I went with that. So while I was in 3rd year of uni was when I first started doing like actual work, like did commissions. And how I got into that were 2 websites. The main one, and this I recommend to anyone who's getting into any kind of illustration, design, graphic design, is a website called Upwork. I will put the links in the description to everything. But Upwork is basically a freelance, it's where anyone can post a job and say, hey, I need a designer for this. You can apply, send off a little description of what you're planning to do, send off photos of work you've previously done that might appeal to them. And then if you get the job, then you get commissioned the amount. I think you can actually choose how much you want to charge. So you can say, oh, I work £20 per hour, $20 per hour, or whatever. Or they will have a budget that they write, and then you can choose whether to apply or not, depending on if you're happy with the budget. But what I will say is, when you're first starting out, do it for a low amount. Like, don't be put off by, oh, is this worth my time? Personally, building up a portfolio is the most important thing. So I did a load. I did some that were for free. I did some that were like $20 for an album cover, which is not much at all in the scheme of these things, but it meant that on my portfolio I could say, done album covers for this person, done album cover for this person, and it shows that you actually worked and you've actually done it professionally, not just like for study. So Upwork, and I ended up earning, like, because if you do a job and it goes really well, sometimes they rework with you afterwards, like the people, they trust you then. So like there was one client I did, and it was only $35 per hour, and I did one job for them and they really liked it, and then it continued for months where they'd say, oh, I have another one, could you just do this for me, could you just do this for me? And it was a good little trickle, you know. So Upwork, definitely check out. The other website, which isn't, it's a competition website, so it's not a brief where you get commissioned, but what I used it for was to build a portfolio of work, because I think sometimes having a brief is the best for this kind of industry, because it gives you a direction of work. So there's this website called Talent House, and they are professional briefs by big companies like I was gonna say IKEA, Nike, that's what I was gonna say. Nike, big film productions, BBC, just like huge companies set design briefs. Creatives then work on the brief, submit it, and the winner wins like £1,000 or £500 and promotion of their work. And I did one, the first one I ever did, I actually won it, which was like, I didn't think it was even humanly possible. Like I thought this was just one of those things that no one actually ever wins. But I did a billboard design and I won it, and I won £500, and the billboard went up in Bristol, which was really cool. And they sent me photos, they did a big exhibition with it and everything. And that, oh my God, like that was so cool, putting that on my CV, that I've had my work on a billboard, things like that, and extra 500 quid as well. But the main reason I did that, I ended up doing a load of them after, like kept doing briefs, is because my portfolio was filled with all this crazy work, like set by BBC, this, blah, 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 this, like I filled it with stuff that I made for Talent House briefs. So I highly recommend that if you want to just build a portfolio. Talent House is cool. But as soon as I graduated, I knew I wanted to do album cover design. And this tip works with any kind of industry, you know, like graphic design, logos, branding, illustration, art, sculpture, whatever. The biggest tip I will say is to send off your portfolio and a personalised email to as many companies as you want or found or would like to work for. I made an album cover portfolio and I sent it off to, I want to say 100 different record labels, like, or more than that maybe, and for each one I sent a personalised email about why I'd like to work for them, what albums they've done in the past that I really love the design of, or you know, just made it personal to them. And out of 100 there was only like 10 replies. So send it to as many as possible, because a lot of them already have people designing for them, so they don't need one. But just by that chance that they keep you in mind for future projects. But that was the first time I got my big like job that I ended up working on for a year and a half with a record label, and they emailed back and just said, oh, this is such a coincidence, but my designer's just left, would be happy to give you a go, like on a trial period, and then if it works then we'll carry on. And I worked for them for a year and a half, and that was like a big sort of income for me that helped me during the fact that being freelance is kind of scary, like you don't know when the next job's going to come along, and that one was my kind of buffer to find other things and keep it going, you know. And as I ended up doing YouTube, it kept my income coming while I did YouTube stuff as well, so I got to balance those things, you know. So sending off PDF portfolios to as many companies as you can find. Make sure your portfolio is filled with work, like set your own briefs, fill it with uni stuff, Talent House briefs, whatever. Just make sure there's a big variety of work that can show off what you can do. Random tip, and this might just be mainly relevant to collage, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Finding copyright-free images and videos and illustrations to use within artwork or within briefs is so important. When I first started, I didn't even know about the whole copyright law stuff, and I was Googling pictures, using them in collage. And then when something would, like I did an album job and it all went great and they loved the design. This was really early on when I first started. And they were like, oh, is everything copyright free? And I was like, no. They were like, well, you're going to have to restart it. And I had to just do the whole thing from scratch, because if they want to sell it, so if they want to sell their album, as you would think they would, then they can't sell it if it has someone else's image on it. So make sure you use copyright-free websites. 2, I have to recommend. The best one for photography and photos, Unsplash, filled with copyright-free pictures. Then there's a website called Pixabay, which have photos, videos, illustrations, vector graphics, everything, all copyright free. You can use it in all of your artwork designs and everything. So those 2 freaking lifesavers. I do all of my work using them too. So yeah, good stuff on there. Okay, I thought I would talk to you about the money side of things, because I feel like no one talks about these things, and I'm just gonna be open with you about it. So when I first started album covers, I did the odd one for $20. I mean, I think album covers is gonna be different. I'm gonna talk about album covers and I'm gonna talk about commissions for everything else as well. For album covers, when I first started, I was doing them for sort of £50, £50 per album, which is pretty low, I think, but I was just starting, and honestly £50 was a freaking lot to me, and I was really happy with doing like 4 album covers a month and having that plus my record label money. So £50 was a very low starting amount. The money that I ended up getting per album cover, the more experience I got and the more was sort of on the £400 mark per album cover. So that's how much it varies from beginner to, like, because you have junior designer, midweight designer and senior. So when I was junior it was like £50 per album, and then when I was midweight it was £400 per album cover. In terms of everything else, so designing, right, the main thing that's so confusing and I've always struggled with pricing is day rates, because a lot of big companies, they tend to, not always, but they tend to charge by day rate or pay by day rate. So you have to work out how much you're going to charge for a full day of your work. So that tends to be 8 hours, let's say. This is what I've always struggled with the most. I've always gone way under because I've wanted the job to go on my CV more than I've wanted the money. I'm just going to do the whole junior to midweight thing. When I first started, I was charging £150, £200 per day, which I think is, yeah, it's okay. It's pretty low. I don't know. I'm still confused about it, but this is my experience. So like £150, £200 per day. And then as I got more experience and blah, 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 but for bigger clients, that was sort of £600 per day. I think that people do charge a lot more than that, to be honest with you. I'm still undercharging with that, but it tends to be because I really want the job. So those are the two benchmarks. I'd say if you're just starting, you could probably go 150, 200 for day rate, depending on the company. Again, if you're working for a tiny company, you need to take into consideration how big they are and their budget. You have to kind of guess it. It's still the same in the YouTube world. I'm really bad at that with sort of sponsorships and all that stuff. I have no idea because no one teaches you these things. It's really confusing. But I thought I'd just give you my experience in case that helps in any way. But you can charge hourly as well, day rate and hourly. And if you ever look on Upwork, that'll give some good hints as to what people are asking for. Although I will say Upwork, you get hardly anything in comparison to real life. Like, these are people, they tend to be independents who need designs for stuff, whereas obviously in the real world they like commercially pay for these things on a regular basis. I feel like I've talked really crazily fast. Those are all the tips that I wrote down that I wanted to tell you. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments and I will respond to them. I still do my design, collage, artwork and everything now. I still work commercially on it. Like, I'm doing a design job right now, but now I can be more picky and choosy with them. So it's not so much now about earning a living as YouTube is my living. This is more about doing it because I love it and creating things because I enjoy creating things. This is a word movement. Put them away. I have to say, I learned a lot in uni. Uni was a big thing for me. I'm not saying that you need to go to uni to be a designer, because in no way you need to. But for me personally, the work I was producing before I went to uni and the work I was producing after was a huge quality difference, an improvement after uni. So I do recommend doing a design or degree, but it's not crucial. Do you. But that was just my experience with it all. I hope that helped in any way, and as I said, I will answer any questions below. But thanks so much for watching, you guys. It's nice. I might do some sit down videos. I feel like, you know, like a person who sits in chairs and talks. So I might do these more often, I don't know, but I don't know on what topics. Maybe I could do a YouTube one, I don't know. But anyway, bye guys.